Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. Come spend some time with us today. We're doing a little of this and that, of course. But first thing on the list this morning, we are having a surprise birthday party for my sister-in-law tonight. She's turning the big 30. So, of course, by the time this video comes out, the party will done be said and done. So we're not breaking the surprise or anything. But I'm going to show y'all what I'm making this morning. Y'all may be a little surprised to see this, but if you followed for a while, you've seen me make it in the past. A dirt cake. So, I'm making a dirt cake for the party tonight. Some people call it a Oreo cake, maybe, like a no-bake Oreo cake. I don't know. It's got a lot of different names, but we call it dirt cake around here. A very simple, easy dessert that is sure to be a hit at all your cookouts. So, let's get started. So I do have 2 packs of vanilla, just instant vanilla pudding in my bowl here. I was giving it time to set up. I've got my little pan here. You could do this in like a 9x13 pan. We're going to add about a half a pack of crushed Oreos to the bottom. And I just kind of spread those out evenly, mash them down. There we go. So, let's put in our softened cream cheese. And for the pudding, I just follow the directions on the box. So whatever your box of pudding says, and I use 2 boxes. Sometimes I just do like the, I don't know, what's it called, like the family size box or something. But we're going to get this just kind of worked in. There's no right or wrong way to do this recipe, honestly. So we're going to take our pudding mixture and we're just going to pour it over our Oreos. This is best to be made ahead of time because the longer it sits in the refrigerator, in my personal opinion, the better it gets. Because it makes those Oreos on the bottom kind of soft. So that's why I'm making it this morning and the party's not till this evening. Hey little man, will you come crush the rest of them for me? Yeah. We need them for the top. I'm going to spread this around here. Just make sure it's all kind of even. Jacob is crushing up the Oreos for me.
It's crushing them for the top.
Yep, this is going to be for the topping. It works good, don't it?
Yeah, huh?
Thank you, sir. Now we're going to put us some whipped cream on top. So we're just going to try to evenly spread this across to make us a top layer of whipped cream. Like I said, a lot of people just mix all these ingredients together, including the Oreos, and do it that way, and it's good that way too. But Andy's favorite way is in the layers, so I make it in the layers. There you go. And then if we have some extra, then we can hit a few more places a little better. Hard to resist Oreos, huh?
Especially Oreos and milk.
I know. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
So, as simple as that. It's something easy to throw together for all your cookouts and things like that, especially if you're limited on time, and it's great. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite desserts. So
It's
now,
my favorite cake.
yeah, it's your favorite, ain't it? So now what we'll do is I'm gonna cover this in some tin foil. We'll stick it in the fridge till the party tonight.
So, while Megan's getting all her cooking and stuff done, me and Jacob are going to be getting some stuff ready for next weekend at the Foothills Farm Festival. We've got his Papa's tractor right here that he restored probably 15 years ago. It's a 601 Workmaster Ford that was bought by Megan's grandpa new. So Jacob's going to be riding it in the parade, and then I've got my I've got my John Deere Model B back there. I've got to get out and do just a little bit to it too.
Should I go and pull it out?
Yeah, you can pull it out. Or you can leave it right there. So I'm gonna give y'all a little backstory on this tractor before we get started here. Like I said, this was Megan's daddy's tractor. He restored it probably 15 years ago. And then he continued to use it. So, you know, we're gonna try our best to get it cleaned up. We've got a sign we're gonna be putting right up here in the front. It says in memory of Howie Rogers, which was her daddy. And if y'all don't know, you know, he recently passed away here. So Jacob's gonna be riding it in the parade over at the farm festival. And we just want to get it all cleaned up and looking special. My B down here is cleaned up, and it doesn't matter if it's really clean or not, because that's what I'm going to be using to pick corn, so it's going to get dirty anyways. So I'm not too particular about that, but we're going to try to get this one cleaned up really nice. So I'll tell you a little bit about this tractor. This is a diesel 601 Workmaster. It is a 641, which means it has a 4-speed transmission. And it's got a Sherman transmission in it. So it's got power steering, Sherman transmission, and it's diesel. So any of my tractor fans out there might know that that's a little bit of a rare combination. I'm not going to say it's extremely rare, but it's not very common at all. Honestly, this is the only one I've ever seen that's like this. Most of your 601s, at least the ones you see around here, were gas, or they were the regular 5-speed, or they didn't have power steering. You know, it's hard to find one that's got all three of those things, which makes this a really nice tractor. This is a very fun tractor to drive, fun tractor to use. And her daddy did an excellent job on the restoration. I remember 15 years ago, like when me and her first started dating, seeing this tractor, and that would have been right about the time he was just getting done with it, and it looked just as good as it did the day it come off the showroom lot. But where he continued to use it, you know, we've got paint wear, the paint's dull. You know, we're gonna clean up all the engine, so any type of, which it ain't really no leaks much on it, but any type of grease spots and stuff, we're gonna get that off. And
where it was sitting under a shelter, the back end's faded.
Yeah, the back end got faded from where it was parked. It always got sunlight on it. But for the most part, the front part of the tractor still looks really nice. So you can tell, I mean, you can just look at the quality and tell that he done a really good job when he redone it back then. But anyways, Jacob, I guess I need to quit running my mouth and let's get started cleaning this thing up. I'm gonna spray a little bit of stuff on the engine and all to get that, all the grease and stuff worked loose. And then the hood and all, we'll actually wash that with a rag, the hood and fenders.
Because it would scratch.
Yeah, I don't want to scratch them or put anything on there that's going to mess the paint up. Jacob,
Hmm?
now that the sun's all of a sudden decided to come out, we might ought to pull this thing up there in the yard where the sun ain't drying the water up as soon as I put it on here.
Ah.
Let me get everything back wet.
Okay.
Wash it, scrub it good.
What's that?
The hood latch. I'm using super clean on all the really dirty stuff here to get the grease stains and all that off of it. This stuff usually works pretty good on stuff like that. But I don't want to put it up there on that hood because I'm scared it'll streak the paint on that hood. Because it will do that too. I found out the hard way.
No, I didn't touch the other one.
I know that super clean does a good job at bringing the dirt off of.
Is the other side good yet?
Yeah, I need to start on the other side. Let me wash this off so you don't get wet. Luckily, this tractor wasn't too dirty to begin with.
Yeah, huh?
Just needed a touch up.
Mm-hmm. Watch this.
There you go.
And I got something to hold on to.
That's right. Well, I believe that's about as clean as we aim to get it for right now, ain't it, Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
It looks a whole lot better, but we'll find out how good we done
Once it dries.
Once it dries, yeah. But see, it's little stuff like that right there. That used to aggravate him. He told me I don't know how many times. He said, I wish I'd have never put that tractor back to work after I got done with it. Because, yeah, like I said, it's been at least 15, 16 years ago when he restored this thing. And looking at the hour meter up here, he put a new one in it. It's got 1,076 hours on it. So I'm pretty sure he put a brand new hour meter in this, or tack and hour meter together in this thing when he restored it. So he's put just a little over 1,000 hours on it since he restored it. But I do believe that she's ready for the parade. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited to drive it?
Yeah.
I think your papa'd be proud. I think he'd be proud. I tell you what though, y'all, that's a good looking tractor right there.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds good too.
It runs like a sewing machine. That thing is so smooth. I'm pretty sure he rebuilt the engine in it when he restored it. Man, that's a good running tractor though. That's a good looking tractor.
Alright guys, so next thing on the list for the party tonight is my famous hot dog chili. It's a very simple recipe. I'll go ahead and fix it now and just put it in the crock pot to unload for the rest of the day, but you can cook it down right before your event or whatever you're cooking the chili for. Here in North Carolina, we eat our hot dogs and our cheeseburgers with chili on them. This is not chili like you eat, not like a soup. It's chili to go on hot dogs. So the first thing we're going to do is brown us a pound of hamburger. We're going to throw in some chopped green peppers. You can chop them as big or as little as you want them. We're going to add a small chopped onion. Again, make that as big or as small as you want it. I cook for a picky crowd that don't like chunks of stuff in their chili, so I cut everything up pretty little. We're just going to let all that kind of cook together for a little bit. We're going to add about a teaspoon of chili powder. Now you can add more if you like chili powder like that. I'm a little sensitive to chili powder, so I only do a teaspoon. Teaspoon of cumin. Two teaspoons of garlic powder. Now the wonderful thing about stuff like this is if you follow this recipe and you say, oh, I think it needs a little more of this or a little more of that, add it. Adjust it to your taste. 2 teaspoons of paprika. And a half a teaspoon of turmeric. We're going to let that hamburger get really good and brown. I'm also going to add in just a sprinkle of salt, a sprinkle of pepper. A little sprinkle of salt. I want to chop that up real fine so we don't have any huge chunks of hamburger to fight with.
Alright, next thing I'm going to have to do to get ready, we're going to have to go up and get the corn picker and all that stuff. That's all up in my grandma's house, but that's going to be like the day before the show when we go do that. But I'm going to go down here and get my bee because the charging system doesn't work on the bee, so it doesn't keep the battery charged. I have to charge it like with a battery charger. For all y'all wondering why it don't work, I've actually fixed it 3 times now. And I just have not found a good place to have the generator rebuilt. Every time I have it rebuilt, it don't last no time and it goes bad again. But anyways, we'll get this thing out and I'm gonna pull it up here and just put it on a battery charger and let it top the battery off. and that'll be that thing should be ready to go. So this bee don't really have any like sentimental value. It didn't belong to a family member or anything like that of mine. Honestly, it actually belonged to a guy that lives up the road, and I was up there doing some work for him one day. And he looks at me and he says, "I got what you need." I didn't know where that was going to take us, but I said, "Well, I'm listening." And this thing was sitting out there under the barn shelter. And I had always wanted one of these old John Deere 2-cylinder tractors. I love the way they sound. I never really knew anybody that had one. So that's where this thing came from. And it wasn't originally his. He had bought it at auction somewhere or another. And, you know, so there's no, like, connection with this tractor right here other than this was just the first real antique tractor I'd ever bought. So the tractor I have the most connection to is the old 4000 Ford that's sitting over here. Now that was my grandpa's tractor, and that one means a whole lot to me. But this one here is just basically an old tractor that I have that I kind of piddle with, and I guess it's the oldest one we have up here. And that's the reason we take it over there to the farm festival to pick corn with. I don't use it much anymore. I used to use it to rake hay with, but it's just so far from field to field for me where they're not all on top of each other. And this thing is extremely slow on the road, so you don't have a lot of good road speed. So I don't use it anymore for raking hay, and nowadays I just kind of put around on it. I mean, I think we've rode it around maybe twice this year so far, maybe 3 times. It was restored at one point, but that's been many years ago. But we did break bad and buy us a new seat cushion for it. I think it looks so much better with that yellow seat cushion than it did with the black one.
Yeah, I think so too.
But one thing that just simply amazes me about this tractor is I always keep a gas cutoff on it, just so it don't leak back into the engine. But I've never had a problem with it doing that, but I just do it for safety reasons. But this tractor, no matter how long it sits, will fire right up. It's always amazing. It can sit for 6 months and it'll fire that easy right there. But y'all hear that? I think I've got a hold of some bad gas. Because I just noticed the last time I run it, it was skipping. I don't know what's wrong with that thing.
Skipping like crazy.
I know.
It's just a pow-powing.
Yeah, we got plenty of gas. I think it's just where it don't get run much. It's got some trash or something in the carburetor. But that's something I need to address too before we go to the show next weekend. I got to get some treatment and pour in the gas tank and see if that'll help clear it out.
After your hamburger gets good and brown, I'm going to add a pint of my tomato soup. You can do tomato juice too, but I found the tomato soup really gives it a really good flavor. Add about a cup of water, some ketchup, about a half a cup. And we're just going to give that a good stir. Now, you can do one of two things here. You can let this simmer for about 30 minutes or until it gets as thick as you want it. Or you can do what I'm going to do, which is put it in my little crock pot and just leave it on low until we're ready to eat it. And then by that time, it'll be good and cooked down. All the flavors will be together. It's great. You're not going to regret this recipe. It is very good hot dog chili. I wish y'all had smell-o-vision because it sure does smell good. Just gonna gently pour that in my crock pot and see if I can do it without making a mess. There we go. We're all set. And when we're doing something like we're doing tonight with the party and everything, I like to do it this way too, because then that way it's good and warm and I can make it early and not have to worry about it.
This little charger here is a 6 volt and a 12 volt. It'll switch automatically once it detects what type of battery it's hooked to. And on these old tractors like this one here, they were all 6 volt batteries. I've been thinking about, since I've had so much trouble, it's on. I've been thinking about, since I've had so much trouble with the charging system on this thing, converting it over to a 12 volt. I like keeping stuff original, and that's the reason I haven't done it. But it seems like it's just getting harder and harder to find a good shop that'll rebuild a generator. You know, and that's over my head there. I don't know nothing about rebuilding generators. So I've been thinking about putting an alternator on it and putting more like a more modern style charging system. It'd be a whole lot more reliable. But anyways, we'll let this thing sit here for a few hours until the light turns green, and we'll know that the battery's fully charged, and it should be. Well, I'm gonna get me some gas treatment though and pour in that tank and see if I can get that thing to clear up. But other than that, this thing, as far as I know, is ready to pick corn next Saturday. So the old tractor's had time to dry off by now. I want to see what she looks like. I'd contemplated waxing this hood here, and I might do that. I might get me some wax and do that later this week. That would put a real nice finish on that hood there. I don't know if we'll get to it or not, but I might. But other than that, I do believe the old tractor looks pretty good. It looks better than it did to start with. Looks real good. I believe Jacob's papa would be proud. Since we're on the subject of tractors today though, I want to share something with y'all that I just discovered, I guess, well, just a couple days ago. I've been in search of some more wheels and tires to put on my 2600 Ford, because those of you who've watched for any amount of time, you know that it has a set of turf tires on it, and I want to put a set of regular ag tires on that tractor. However, I don't want to put them on those rims because I do kind of want to keep the turf tires over to the side somewhere in case I decide at some point that for whatever reason I might want to put those turf tires back on the tractor. So I want to keep those on the wheels they're on, and so I'd been in search of another set of wheels, and I've been thinking, basically what I was looking for was a used set of wheels somebody had took off for some reason or another. But I come across a brand new set. Now they don't look brand new because they've been sitting in a warehouse for a very long time. But these will fit my 2600. For those of you tractor guys, these are 28-inch wheels, and I'm planning on putting 13/6/28 ag tires on it. But what I wanted to share with you is these are not actually Ford wheels, even though they look like Ford wheels. These are farm track wheels. And once again, for my tractor guys, I know a lot of y'all probably don't know nothing about what I'm fixing to talk about here, and a lot of you probably don't even care about what I'm fixing to talk about, but this is just to help out some of my tractor guys that's out there. These are farm track wheels, and if you don't know, farm track are basically were made on the same, I don't even know how to say exactly how it was done, but a farm track tractor is very, very, very similar to the older Ford tractors. So I discovered a guy in Thomasville, North Carolina, Joe's Tractor Sales in Thomasville, North Carolina. They have a whole warehouse full of farm track tractor parts. And I think that's pretty cool, and that's something I wanted to share with everybody on here, because farm track is no longer in business, and parts for those things are getting somewhat scarce to find. So if any people watching or whatever have a farm track tractor and you have some type of part you need for it, or even if you have a farm track tractor and you don't need a part yet but need to know in the future where you may get your parts from, it's Joe's Tractor Sales in Thomasville, North Carolina. They have a whole warehouse plumb full of farm track parts. It beat anything I had ever seen in my life. I've never seen so much stuff in one warehouse. Every bit of it brand spanking new. Never been put on a tractor. It was just unbelievable. But there's a dang good chance that if you're looking for a farm track part, they've got it. And I just wanted to kind of throw that out there just to help out any of the tractor folks that's out there that watch us on our videos. So since the tractor's dried off here, I told Jacob we'd go take us a spin on it. We'll go make a little round riding it, and then we'll just go ahead and put it up.
The seat's wet still.
Is it? Did your hind end get wet?
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, you're all right. It ain't bad.
Ready?
Let's go. Let the lift down some. Let it on down. That'll work. We got a little bit right there we need to clean off. Right there. Any of my farm boys or farm girls down there that watch our channel, y'all let me know what y'all learned to drive on as far as tractors go. Y'all have seen Jacob driving that Kubota tractor of ours plenty, but you know, it's hydrostatic, and in my opinion, it's not like driving a real tractor. So I think you could kind of say that Jacob learned to drive on this tractor right here. This one's fairly easy to drive, but you know, it's a straight gear tractor. It's more of your typical style tractor. So anybody in the comments, let us know what you learned to drive on. And my first tractor I learned to drive was an 1194 Case. That's my daddy's tractor. He bought it brand new back in, I think, 1984. And that's the tractor I learned to drive on. You like the way it sounds, don't you? It's hard to beat those old tractors. They just got a different sound than this new stuff does. This new stuff ain't got no character to it. These old tractors, they're special, that's for sure. I wish I grew up in the age when these tractors were new. I think that would have been so cool. Of course, back then, you know, we didn't think nothing about it. Who knew that we were going to have tractors that were covered in emissions and all that stuff? You can't even roll coal with a tractor anymore. So, you know, this old stuff just got a special place, I'm sure, in a whole lot of hearts of many Americans. Well, just look at this. These old tractors have style to them. I mean, they're just like old cars. They have character. They have style.
If you buy a new tractor, all the new tractors look the same. The old ones had character.
Yeah, and even the new tractors just about sound the same because everything's muffled down so much, and you got all the emissions on it. There's no character to any of the new stuff that's in this world anymore. All this old stuff, just look at the lines on this thing. I mean, And it's like that with all old tractors. It ain't just this one. It's all of them. They are, they had class to them almost. All right, little man. Let's go up here and check the battery. Okay. In case y'all hadn't figured it out yet, I think you could about say that I got a passion with tractors, especially old tractors. And, you know, tractors are my happy place. And if I could have it my way, I'd buy every old tractor I could get. But, you know, that's not feasible. But no, Jacob, it's still orange, so it's still charging.
Well, I just saw that light lit up.
But yeah, that'll never happen. I'll never be in a position where I can buy all of them, and I ain't got nowhere to put all of them. But I tell you what, if I could, I would.
Well, we got all the critters fed, and I guess we're about ready for the party this evening.
That's right.
So, I guess that's going to about do it for today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope you might have learned a little something. Till we see y'all in the next one.
Have a good one, y'all.
Have a good one.